Hello traders, this is Mel with the High Speed Trading Company, and today we're going to talk about fair value gaps. And this is just going to be a basic overview so you have a good understanding, enough of an understanding that when we talked about other concepts that will involve fair value gaps that you know what we're talking about. So this is lesson 4 of the High Speed Trading Academy. Fair value gaps, the basics. So let's get into it. Objectives are to understand what a fair value gap is, how to identify a fair value gap, and more advanced, like I said, more advanced fair value gap theory will be taught in a future lesson. So, the basics of a fair value gap. A fair value gap is a 3-candle pattern, and we'll show you some examples and then go to the charts and give you some more examples. It's basically a market imbalance. As we go forward and more and into the advance, you'll begin to realize that the market seeks to balance those imbalances, which means it will seek to go back to those fair value gaps. Also, fair value gaps can be used as an indication of motion, especially when used with the concept of displacement, which will be in the next lesson after this. So let's look at a fair value gap. This is a bullish fair value gap. As I said, it's a 3-candle pattern, and it's when the wicks, or the in this case bullish, the first candle, the highest point on that candle does not touch the lowest point on the third candle. It creates a gap. And that is what we call a fair value gap right there. A bearish example, same thing, except this one is the lowest on the first candle, does not touch the highest on the third candle. So let's go into the charts and look at a few examples so you can have a better understanding. Okay. So here we have a chart, and by the way, this is a 5-minute chart. Matter of fact, we'll go down to a 1-minute chart. And what I want to show you is that fair value gaps happen on the 1-minute chart. They happen on the daily and monthly and weekly chart. So we're going to talk about displacement, which is what that candle would be right there in the next lesson. But if you notice, when this, and I like to use boxes, if we highlight that is a fair value gap, and in this case that's a 1-minute fair value gap. Okay, and that is an important concept that we're going to use in some trading strategies, in being able to read the market, also in higher time frame analysis. So you should take some time, go back into your charts and look for fair value gaps. So something that I have learned about fair value gaps, I tend to not use indicators. And the reason is the fair value gaps that stand out and catch my eye tend to be the ones of importance. I do have an indicator here. I'm going to click it on, and that's a fair value gap indicator. And so it will show you where the fair value gaps are. I actually have 2 of them on here. One of them is FVG imbalance, or actually, yeah, that actually have 3. The second one is Lux Algo fair value gap, and the next one is FVG Nephew Sam. But I have the problem with having an indicator is it can get really busy, and then you lose track of which ones are important. I tend to look for the ones that stand out. This one stands out right here. Okay. Let's go on. See the market we have, there's a little, so we have a little bit of a fair value gap there. And you go down, and you want to be able to train your eyes to see these. That's why you need to go back and back test. Look in some previous charts. There's a fair value gap. There is a fair value gap. There is a gap. We will talk about gaps later. But that this candle wick and that candle wick overlap each other. So that is not a fair value gap. We have a fair value gap here. We have one here. So we have two of them stacked together. Come down, and then we have, there's that displacement we're going to talk about on the next lesson. What we have there is that, and then that fair value gap stands out to me. Right there. That's a 1 minute fair value gap right there. So it stands out to me. It gives me something to keep an eye on. And we will talk more about fair value gaps as we go forward. And we go down here. We have a fair value gap there. And by the way, so this would be a bullish fair value gap because it happens on an up candle. This one right here, that would be bearish. I'm sorry, bullish. That would be bullish up candle. And if you notice, we have another one right here. And look at that. They overlap each other. That will become important as we go forward. And that creates a balanced price range within there. And those balanced price ranges are many times often referred to later, which we can see was here. Referred to it, caused a rejection and a move up. But again, that's more advanced for later. Go through your charts. Look for fair value gaps. Look for fair value gaps. There's one. There's one. Just learn to spot them. There's one. They're all over. There's one right there. It's a small one, but there's one. So I hope this helps. And as we go forward into lesson 5 and we talk about market structure shift and displacement, we can talk about the importance of fair value gaps within that displacement. So until we talk again, be blessed.